Hi, you're watching Georgia Alert. I'm Becca, and today I'm here with Tini. We will be overviewing the Georgian news, what happened recently in Georgia. Right now, all of the attention in Georgia is on the upcoming election, on the European Football Championship, a historic moment for Georgia that our national team has qualified for the final stage of the European football for the first time in history. So there is a lot of history happening in Georgia at the moment, and we will keep you on alert and updated on a weekly basis.
Hello, Becca. So I think because of the football, lots of Georgians are like, their whole attention is into football. So this week it was not that intense for Georgians. Even Georgian Dream is rooting for our football team, and I think they're in Germany right now, which is very sarcastic and it's irony, but yeah. So this week we had the highlight of the week, which was the attack on one of the activists, Zuka Berdzanishvili, and this case is very interesting. We all know that literally every week we have this kind of cases of activists being beaten up, but this was also very interesting because the Speaker of the Parliament, Shalva Papuashvili, posted in the morning the Facebook post about this man, Zuka Berdzanishvili, an hour after the post, people attacked him. So he was so heavily beaten that he required a nose surgery an hour after the parliament member posted about him. So later Papuashvili also underlined that such kind of actions and such kind of people will be also punished, and will happen same things to them. So it was a green light from Georgian Dream parliament member that beating up people is normal, so we can continue doing it to anyone who is protesting Russian law. Actually, yesterday happened another case of beating up an activist who is actually not very active in politics. However, he is a friend of one of the activists. So they beaten him up also. And such actions by government officials can easily be interpreted as a green light to commit violence against government critics and impunity. So Amnesty International's deputy director for Eastern European and Central Asia just said this about Georgian Dream's attacks on
it seems like as we move forward, these violence attacks, they keep happening. It's every week basically somebody is being assaulted on the street, and that somebody is usually a critic of the ruling party, a person who just has a dissenting opinion, who might have been protesting in the demonstrations. So right now everything is on kind of hold politically. We are waiting for the upcoming election, but this gives the ruling party time to concentrate its violence and to punish people who have been active before. So, but this is pointless. These people are not going to be quiet about this. They are getting more angrier and angrier, and they will vote against the ruling party. So it's pointless to keep people attacking like this. This has to stop at some point, but we're not surprised because every week there is some type of attack happening out in the streets basically, and this is no surprise that it just keeps happening.
But I also want to mention that Georgian activists somehow learned how to work with Georgian Dream's assault. So now what I hear from other organizations and activists is that they usually go by groups and groups, with friends to home, to different locations, because it's very scary for them, and they have some kind of support of their friends. And we've seen that these cases, it's probably gonna go even more and more. They're gonna attack more people, but for now it kind of reduced because there were a couple of cases when there were groups of people with activists, and those titushkes just left and could not beat them up. So I want to mention this, that Georgian activists, they know what is going on, and they're always keeping themselves very careful, and they have shocks and pepper sprays for them to protect themselves.
It's funny that this ruling party 12 years ago, they came to power on the promise that they would stop violence from the previous government. And yet, in the end, they are the ones who are repeating, who are following in the footsteps of the old regime. Now they have become what they call Natsebi, like previous ruling party. They are basically justifying their actions because people are from the camp of United National Movement, and that's why, as if this is an argument good enough for the violence. So no matter who they do this violence to, this is still violence, is violence. Criminal activity is still criminal activity, regardless of who it is against. So they have to think about this when they were in the opposition themselves. They were under attack from the previous government. Now they have become the same type of authoritarian regime which they vowed to win against the previous election. So this is, I don't know, Nietzsche has written this, that beware people who are fighting monsters, they may become monsters themselves. So this, yeah, they have become monsters in this fight.
Exactly.
But yes, this will have repercussions. Someday soon we will have new elections. No matter the outcome of these elections, these people will go to the court, European Court of Human Rights, and this, and I don't know, police and investigation, it's silent. They're not taking any action. This also is deemed as the violation of human rights, because if there is a fact that there is a criminal activity and this person, for example, Zukabajanishvili, he should have been announced as the victim of a crime. He's not being announced as a victim.
Actually,
right?
he has a no. He's not. He has a trial now.
He's on
convicted
the trial.
on something. Yeah.
So yes, all of these activities will end up in the Court of Human Rights, and the court will have the final say. And yes, I don't know, at this time maybe they do not think about this, but this will come back to bite them. And yes, they will have to think about repercussions at some point. That this will somehow fall in the legal arena, maybe not here in Georgia, but yes, this will have consequences. So yeah, this is not usual. This is not unusual for us.
Yeah, even for our viewers, we tell them every week the new case.
Yes, let's move on to much better news. President Zurabishvili vetoes CEC amendments and beyond. On June 3rd, the President of Georgia, Salome Zurabishvili, vetoed the amendments to the Rules of Procedure of the Central Elections Commission of Georgia, according to which, if a decision of the CEC requiring the support of at least 2/3 of its full membership cannot be passed during a CEC meeting, it will be subject to a revote at the same meeting and will be considered passed if it receives a majority of the CEC's full membership. According to the President's administration press release, the President believes that with the change, the need for consensus among the parties to make decisions in the CEC will be eliminated, and the ruling party will be able to make decisions practically on a one-party basis. Yes. Basically, this CEC amendments and the legislation has been debated for a long time now, even like in previous years. The EU has recommended certain changes, that there should be political plurality in Georgia. We cannot stand one-party government for such a long time. It has to change, and CEC is one of the key regulations which guarantees them this standing in the parliament. But now, whole opposition, this is the reason, the legislation itself, that the whole opposition is trying to unite. We have the 5% minimum requirement for the parties in the parliamentary elections. So if a party, any party, any opposition party does not go beyond 5%, they are losing their votes to the ruling party, basically. So this rule sort of forcing everybody to unite against the ruling party. And yes, so these and other amendments were done in a way so that they're not compliant with this 5% rule. They want to go beyond and not leave any chance for the opposition to win. And basically the president is helping in this process, and she plays a key role for the for all actors to somehow put these elections in a legal and fair parameters.
Which is, I think, it's impossible, because Georgian rigging elections does not happen on the election day. It happens before that, and even CEC does not take a big role in it. It's just their coordinators who are working around regions, and they give regular people money, potatoes, food for winter, and that's how they buy off the votes. So Zurabishvili playing the role in this case is very important, I think, because now we need to alert the whole world that in Georgia, rigging the elections happens every year, so we need to keep an eye on Georgia in this regard in this year, especially because this year, if they're gonna rig the elections, it's gonna go beyond and it's gonna get very intense. So for this year, it's very important to keep an eye on CEC and also Georgian Dream. Other than that, President Zurabishvili met youngsters. She met youth around like 3,000 Georgian students from different universities, and these students had a chance to ask questions to Salome Zurabishvili. Their questions were usually on the unity of the opposition, because that's what the whole Georgian society is demanding right now. So Salome Zurabishvili, in this regard, she's playing a very good role for Georgians, for Georgian youth, because she really needs to have some kind of connection to people, which has not been done yet. So now that she's starting that, and she's the umbrella of the whole opposition, it will lead us to political campaign which is very active, and this youth can also be part of this political campaign.
The young generation, the students, they will have a huge impact. Unlike before, this group of people might have been deemed as inactive in politics, but recently we have received a lot of new voters in Georgia. The young people who just turned 18, their numbers have increased from previous election to this election, and in this protest we see that they are active in the politics, and they realized their future is at stake here. So they want to decide their own fate, and that's why the president and many political actors are focused on this group, the youth, and they have pro-European views, because they want to travel to EU, they want to receive Western education, they have seen the European lifestyle, and they much rather choose to associate their future with the Europe and Western world, basically, rather than Russians, who we also have communication with Russians. They have come here during the war, as refugees, and we have seen their lifestyle, and they are surprised by Georgia's freedom. Actually, when they arrived here, they were amazed at the freedom of Georgia, that wow, you guys can go out in the street as group of people and police doesn't stop you. They ask questions like this, and this is foreign to them. The Russians just to live freely without harming anyone and without in fear of the police. This is foreign grounds for them. So we want the same type of liberty, and the youth wants the same type of liberty which Europe and Western world has. So of course it's no surprise. Even our GD ruling member parties, the party members, they are at this moment in Germany, in Europe, so they are enjoying the culture, they are supporting the national football team. So of course everyone sees the reality. The thing is that the government just does not want to let go of power. That's what this is really. This is not really about, I don't think personally that this is really about foreign policy, whether they want to go, the government wants to go to north or west. They just want to stay in power. And the West tells them this is not the democratic way to stay in power for 12 years without any opposition. And the North does not care about whether they have democracy or not. So
they
of
like
course,
it.
yes, of course they will be more friendly towards the North, but they would still like to go to EU, send their children there. And yes, everyone agrees on that.
And on the youth, actually, lots of my European friends, they tell me that they're jealous because in Georgia, lots of young people are interested in politics. And actually, that's what I believe Georgian Dream got scared of, because they saw the surveys, they saw that youth support was very low for Georgian Dream, and that's why they decided to bring this Russian law, because they knew that with this Russian law, it would affect Georgian youth who are active in politics or who are just interested in politics, because the organizations that work that would be in this Russian agent law list, they're the ones who are working with the youth. So that's what they're scared of. They're scared of losing their power, and they see that Georgian youth are very active in this regard, and that's what they try to just remove from political landscape. Other than that, I would love to add one more news about President Zurabishvili, since we started talking about her. On June 15, President Zurabishvili attended the Ukraine Peace Summit in Switzerland, also meeting President Zelensky and others also. However, even though Georgian Dream's Prime Minister Gobachidze attended the event also, they were very critical of President Zurabishvili and Zelensky, because they saw them together, and they were like, they gave us a quote that the Ukraine Peace Summit could not be a serious deal since there is a little Zelensky and Zurabishvili who can decide. So that's what their irony looks like towards President Zurabishvili and Zelensky, which we have noticed from the start of the Russian-Ukrainian war in 2021. They have been very critical of Zelensky. So yeah, Zurabishvili does not only work here in Georgia for now among youngsters. She also visits other countries, and she's doing international work for our elections, which is coming up.
I remember in 2022, Georgian ruling party, they were passive during the Ukrainian-Russian war. They were not saying anything critical that much, but their passivity was just odd, because we are friendly countries. How come you don't go there, you don't support Ukraine as a nation? But more and more as time passed, we see that they're not only passive, they are now actively against Ukraine. They are criticizing Zelensky, and yes, our president, she is close to the situation. She has European background, she knows European politicians, and she sees reality with a clear eye. She does not really care about the power to stay in the power, because president does not have the same equal amount of power as parliament or the prime minister. She's just a participant in the Georgian politics who is trying to do what is right, which was surprising, because she was supported by the ruling member. She is the president of the ruling country, ruling GD party. But somehow it ended up this way, that she is the voice of reason in all of this situation. So I'm glad that at least our president is doing what is right, and she is speaking with our allies. She is making appearances physically, going to Ukraine, and yes, she has been a reasonable figure in Georgian politics recently, especially. Well, we can speak about recent developments in Abkhazian territory, Georgia's occupied region. Mamuka Mamulashvili, the commander of Georgian National Legion fighting in Ukraine, was poisoned several months ago, as he himself confirmed to Civil G on June 13th. He is now in satisfactory health and continues to perform his duties. On June 14th, it was reported that Russia included the Georgian Legion in its list of terrorist organizations. It should be noted that Georgian fighters in Ukraine face border hardships upon return to Georgia, and that in 2022 the Georgian Dream representatives and even threatened to strip them of Georgian citizenship for serving in a foreign army.
Yes.
The de facto leader of Russian-occupied Abkhazia, Aslam Zhania, told the Russian media outlet RIA Novosti that the occupied region of Georgia and Moscow are working to simplify border control. Zhania, who participated in the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, also reportedly expressed hope that in the future there will be no checkpoint at all. I expect that we will reach a point in our relations where a checkpoint will no longer be necessary. The border will remain, but the checkpoint will eventually become redundant. This is a quote from Zhania, the leader of occupied Abkhazia. We see our ruling party that does not speak about these kind of things, that they are planning to open borders and have no borders with Russia, while they criticize other countries. And yes.
And about Mamuka Mamulashvili and Georgian Legion, National Legion, who are fighting right now in Ukraine, and we've seen Georgian people support to Ukraine from the beginning of the war, and we've seen how Georgian Dream reacted when there were lots of volunteers from Georgia who wanted to go to Ukraine and support Ukraine and fight in Ukraine. They were against it. They even threatened Georgian Legion members. Actually, in our party, we have one guy who is right now in Ukraine fighting against Russians, and one time he was back in Georgia for like 1 month. We saw in different Telegram group chats that Russians were demanding, they were saying that they would give anyone $10,000 if they would kill him. So they go around Telegram channels, find each one of the Georgian Legion members, and they just put their pictures, and they announce that anyone who can kill them or who would just take them, and they would be killed. So that's why right now Georgian Legion, National Legion members, they refuse to come to Georgia before the war ends, because they are scared that there might be threats against them, and they're not. They don't trust Georgian government, because Georgian government can be one of those threats for Georgian Legion members. So we need to support Georgian Legion members. This was very hard case that one of them was he was poisoned several months ago. So we need to keep an eye on them because they're the Georgian fighters who know that Russia is an enemy and we need to fight against Russia no matter what. So imagine they're the ones who are going in different country to help them against Russia. So they're the real fighters who would be fighting against Russia if in Georgia if something happens to us. So yeah, we need to keep an eye on them because it's very scary. Lots of these people have said that it's very scary for them to go in another country except Ukraine. So right now they're in Ukraine. And we also had the case, we always have these cases since our borders are near Russia and since they're occupied our territories. Every day we feel that that Russians they come closer and closer to Georgia and they take the territories every day. But even worse case happens when Russian military members steal Georgian citizens from the borders. So whenever from Shida Kartli, one of the regions of Georgia, whenever Georgians go to their fields to take whatever they have, potatoes or tomatoes, they have the huge fields, and that's how they find from the other side of the border, and that's how they steal.
Yeah, there was another person who was detained.
It was on June 8th that the Georgian citizen was illegally detained by the Russian occupation forces in the vicinity of the occupied town of Tskhinvali, which is near Shida Kartli.
Yes, in the uncontrolled territories, these people who live there, they are our last line of defense. That by the fact that they live there, they choose to not abandon their hometown. They are the most patriotic people in Georgia, perhaps. So our country, our government should be trying to at least get them back, because they're refusing to leave their homes. They stay where they lived their whole lives. This is beyond politics. This is just humanity.
They are very brave, actually. One of I think it was last year, I was at one of the borders and I talked to the people from the village, and the women from the village were telling me that Georgian men who live there, they care so much about the thing, what happened, and they're bothered so much that whenever they get drunk with wine, they have this, like, everyone gathers and they have this feeling that they want to go there. So Georgian women in those villages, they try to keep them safe, and actually that's when all of the stealing happens at night, when Georgian men are going around in their villages alone. So
people get
those people are very brave.
Yeah, they have been kidnapped for years now. There was a famous doctor also, Dr. Vaja, who was kidnapped in the past years. Luckily he was released afterwards, but these type of events, they keep happening, and this is reoccurring. So let's move on to economic news. The Georgian lari gel is being devalued at the moment. It's been happening for a couple of weeks now, and the National Bank is selling US dollar to keep the value of dollar somewhat control it somehow. The National Bank of Georgia sold more US dollars from May 16th to June 11th than in the whole year of 2023 in an attempt to stabilize the exchange rate of GEL, which has experienced devaluation since the adoption of the Russian law, meaning the foreign agents law. In the third reading of May 14th, in total, MBG has already sold 168 million USD in just 1 month, while over the last year it sold 1.2% less, 166.75 million USDs. So by selling the USD, Georgian Central Bank is trying to create a demand on lari to keep its value high. This is a temporary. This is a temporary move. It cannot hold the gel for so long because there is so much US dollars to be sold from the bank, but they have to take into consideration the effects of the legislation, the Russian law, the expectations of other people who are looking at Georgia. Especially we are heavily dependent on the Western transactions of dollars which are sent in the country, and this type of negative expectations towards our political situation heavily affects, of course, our gel, and they have to consider at least these economic factors of their moves, even if they don't much care at the moment about the legal aspects. They are the ones in charge of the economy. This also has effect on their own budget, so they have to consider just how damaging this foreign law, this Russian law has been. Also, so far there has only been sanctions from the United States on visa restrictions. It has not been an economic sanction on GD members on the country. So just to understand how damaging this could be to the entire country, they have to be willing to at least change the course of action. And yes, repeal this law, start to go towards democracy, to change their views on certain key issues, and this power without the backing of real power, it's not really much of any importance. If there is no people backing it, if there is nobody else backing your power, the democracy does not work. Yes.
And we know that printing money does not stop inflation.
Of course.
It can be a temporary thing, but we're going to struggle in near future, especially when the economic sanctions come. It will get worse and worse for Georgian lari in Georgia. So Georgian people should keep in mind that these things are gonna happen. It's gonna get probably even worse. For example, me, I tell my mom to keep dollars and not keep lari for now, because it's very not good. Lari is not in a very good state, and we don't know what's going to happen. And we've seen what happened after Soviet Union collapsed. Georgian people lost all their money. Actually, Georgian lari is not a stable currency. So maybe if, when we go to the EU, when we join the EU, we need to think about adopting a new currency, which is EU, which is trusted in lots of countries, lots of other countries, and Georgian lari cannot be trusted for now.
Yes, the only reason that we are using our national currency is so that they can print more and take it for themselves, basically. This is marketed to people that this is a good thing, a national patriotic thing to have our own currency, but nobody else is using lari except for Georgians. We are obligated by law to trade in lari, to sell goods in lari. But outside of Georgia, it is not a demanded or trusted currency. So the demand that they are creating, the bank, it is not real, basically. They are creating fake demand by selling these USDs themselves, so that the price comes down a little bit and does not go beyond 3.0. Right now it's on the verge of 2.85, 2.9, and they're trying to keep it below 2.9. So if they go down this road furthermore, nobody knows how further this gel devalues. Also, yes, in the future it would be great if we join the EU, if we adopt new currency. It would solve a lot of problems, economy-wise and politically as well, because they're using this printed lari for their own politics, basically.
Yeah, and it's not just Georgia, like we've seen in the USA, the same things happen. It's just the populist way for governments to earn more money by printing more money. And by saying that by printing the money, we made like stable economic situation. So it's very populistic way of the different governments that they are using to print money. Since we started on sanctions, maybe we should mention
there was,
the EU.
EU factor, yes. Last week, it was on, let me check the exact date, 16th, yes.
Yes.
It was on 16th June that we had an announcement from the European Parliament member, Ansis Pupolsi,
he's a Latvian parliament
member. Thank you. He announced that he proposed to Borrell that GD members should be sanctioned immediately. He named specific names, and for these people to be sanctioned similarly as US has done it, meaning visa restrictions. It would be good, especially now, these visa restrictions, because they are attending the Euro Football Championship in Germany. Well, on 24th of June, this will be one of the points that the summit, the council will hear. The Georgian events will be under consideration. They have clearly stated that they're against all of this violence and this political situation that has been going on in Georgia recently since the adoption of the Russian law. So they will not go lightly on this disregard from the GD members. They disregarded everything which the EU said, recommended, or they even rejected the meetings. So this is pending on 24th of June next week. There will be some consequences from the EU as well, and it would be great if they followed in the footsteps of US, and that will be likely the case here, that
yes.
Some people will be sanctioned personally.
Yeah, and it's not just GD that they are always trying to talk to GD members. Our Prime Minister said that in one of the talks with, I think it was European Parliament member or someone from the Europe, mentioned the case of the president in Slovakia and what happened to him. And our Prime Minister said that they were threatening, European Parliament members were threatening him that the same thing would happen to him. So it was a clear lie that our government our Prime Minister was saying against EU members, so EU Parliament members. So we know what their attitude is towards them, and we know that Georgian Parliament members and GD is not talking to the EU on international level. So we've seen that right now, I think in this following week before this 24th International Relations Council meeting, before this European Parliament members will be meeting opposition members from Georgia as well. So the whole opposition is going to EU to discuss the current events that is happening in Georgia. So we're expecting that EU will also continue USA's footsteps, and probably it will gonna get more and more harsh for Georgian Dream members.
Yes, right now the opposition is trying to configure themselves, and they are trying to unite for the elections. And we will have more specific details as these events progress. So far, it does not look good for the Georgian Dream Party, because they have caused everyone to unite against them. And yes, they should think twice about ignoring everyone, that they are the only correct party in all of this, and everyone is a global war party agent or whatever. These kind of rhetorics will not get them the desired results. They might be counting on the rigging of election, but even if they manage to rig, the elections. We have an understanding that it has always been happening to a degree, but it's not going to affect that much the outcome. So a couple percent they might take from these unfair methods, but still they might lose the power. So they have to think about that their methods are already old. Everyone already knows what they're going to do for the elections, and even if they try to repress critical opinions, the dissenting opinions, even if they try to beat up people on the streets, the election day will still come, and the whole world will see the results. The Europe, the West, the partners, wherever they are, they will see what the results of their actions have summed up to. So they should think about changes. The opposition is changing, and so hopefully the GD will think about changing their idea, their viewpoint, and their power. Yes, it is said that power corrupts people, but perhaps there are some people within them that they speak the voice of reason to them that this is not the way. I don't know.
Actually, we've seen in this week there were a couple of journalists from the Georgian Dream propagandist TV station TV Medi who left the TV station because TV station heads were demanding to film a violent kind of video. It was not a violent video, but it was a video which encourages violence among Georgian Dream's supporters and Georgian Dream's opponents. So that's why they left TV station, and I think that it's gonna get we're gonna get more and more examples of these cases that normal people who are in different ministries or they're in TV stations, they're gonna leave their jobs because Georgian Dream is demanding more and more from them. Last year it was not very clear for those people that Georgian Dream was clearly pro-Russian, and now it's getting even more and more relatable to them, and they are understanding it. So this is kind of a good moment for Georgian people that propagandists who we thought they were propagandists, they understood the reality of Georgia, and they are leaving their jobs. And other than that, we heard that there is kind of a problem going on among security services. It's not security service, but it's special tasks department actually. With Khareba, Zuyat Kharazishvili, aka Khareba, and as for now we know that he's sanctioned by the USA, and plus there were some kind of misunderstandings among his team. We don't know what happened clearly. We know that there was some kind of talking among them, and then they beated up each other, and there was a strange thing going on. So even though we don't know what happened exactly, we know that this was a cracking moment for special tasks department. There were probably some kind of misunderstandings among each other, and that's what happened. So we're gonna see more and more of these things happening when the elections are gonna come, because special tasks department, maybe Zviad Gharazishvili, he's able to, he does not care if he beats up people, and he's able to do all of those things, but there might be some normal people over there also who will be protesting it.
Yes, we have seen that this group of this department involves people who are athletes, former athletes, those type of people. So he had a clash with one of his, as it turns out, opponent in all of this. I don't know, it was from the same task, but it was a clash based on money and power. That's how it was basically told from the media, the journalists that investigated this event, that they had a big fight, in a public space, and yes, later on, the opposing party left the country. He fled Georgia. So, and this Kareba, he went to the village of the person with escorts and a lot of cars. So there is some inner conflict among the people who are so bravely attacking the free people in the streets. They have now moved on to attacking each other. So yes,
and inner conflicts are a very good example of the government cracking and the government crashing. Because when the inner conflict starts, that's when the Georgian dream starts to be less and less powerful, because they will have some kind of problems among their teams and they will have to discuss these things among each other. I actually heard that during the adaptation of Russian law there was some kind of conflict in Georgian dream as well, because some of the people thought that it would be very, very hard for Georgian dream for these elections if they would adopt Russian law. They didn't listen to them, they still adopted. But yeah, this inner conflicts start whenever the party is starting to collapse. So I think that this is a start of collapse for Georgian dream.
Before these events, these couple last year, before this year's events, the GD was sort of deemed as a peaceful party, like less strict than the previous one. They used to somehow admit in closed corners that yes, we have authoritarian regime, but look at other countries and look at previous regimes. We are not that violent, right? So they put on these masks of civility that they're not violent. I don't know what they will tell each other now after all of these violent cases, that they have surpassed even other regimes in other countries. Now what argument is left to justify authoritarianism and not know what they're telling each other, but they have to see that they have gone beyond the point of no return. There have been so many cases after this Russian law that the people know this. And I remember there was a huge protest on one of the largest violence. Georgian people are not afraid of violence, and they, on the contrary, they protest even more after this. So,
especially Gen Z, they're more motivated when someone gets hurt, and they're more motivated to fight.
Yeah, Georgians don't like violence from politicians, and they don't like injustice. This has been proven time and again. So they have to consider the history, their own history, how they came to power. So they have to understand that the violence, this aggression will not stand, basically.
I think we're all kind of discussed all of the news that happened. To finish on a positive note, Georgian youths are very active for upcoming elections. There are a couple of Facebook groups. One is Gen Z's Facebook group, one is Daidove, which is a group to help each other for the protests, and one is Ancestors group, our parents' generation who made up the group also, and they called themselves Ancestors. And those groups started working for the upcoming elections, and it's very affecting. It's very affecting Georgian youth who are somehow active in politics. For example, they started a training session for Georgian youth who want to participate in the elections and who want to be the what it's called, the mission.
Yes, they want to.
they want to be at the different locations at the election day actually, and they will be mobile groups who will be going from one election building to another to see what is going on different locations. They will have mobile phones filming everything. Plus, there are usually people at the election day standing outside of the election building, and they're the ones who are demanding votes from people who go to the elections. So they are usually dressed with black fits, and they're usually also very sporty and masculine, and they are the ones who are rigging elections on the election day. So these people from different Facebook groups, they will be investigating this kind of cases. Before the elections, we have the investigation of the cases which are happening now. So we need to investigate all of those cases that are happening now for rigging the elections, so that we give to our international missions. Yeah, Georgian youth are very active in this regard. As I know, we're also preparing for elections outside of Georgia for our immigrants who will be in different countries. They're unfortunately unable to go to the elections because some of them live very far from the city where the elections will be held, and Georgian Dream does not allow Georgian people to have to vote in their own cities wherever they live in the foreign countries. So there will be another campaign which is helping each other to go from one city to another to vote. So this will be a huge campaign for immigrants, and we know that for these elections we have the hope of two big groups, which is immigrants and youth. So they're the active ones. Immigrants, they fund this kind of activities, and now we need to fund them to help them to go to the elections to vote.
Definitely, those are the two big groups at the moment, and yes, the youth are being trained to become election watchers, the poll watchers, yes, and we will need also help from the international community, the CSOs, during the elections to oversee the democracy of Georgia, that none of the votes are lost in this process. And yes, let's see how the situation unfolds. A lot of things will be decided during this election, and yes, only a few months are remaining till then, and let's see how the situation unfolds. I have a lot of hope for Georgia that this year will change a lot of things and we will develop more positively. And yes, let's hope for the bright future for Georgia, and let's wish our athletes good luck that they are playing today.
We're two most unsporty people here, but we wish them luck.
Yeah, they're playing now, but yes, good luck to the team.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Tam.